liberals must have some other reason for ignoring Officer Moore's death and making Freddie Gray the patron saint of injustice in America. Now, according to the most recent FBI statistics from 2012 on police killings in America, black people made up 26% of all victims, accounting for 123 total deaths. So the number for white people must be much lower, right, since the left wants you to believe that there's an epidemic of cops killing black people. Liberals are wrong again. FBI statistics from the same year show white people were in fact victims in 69% of the total deaths that were caused by cops, accounting for 326 total. That's more than double. But of course, that hasn't stopped people like Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson from saying things like this on the House floor.
It's like open season on black men in America, and I'm outraged. In fact, all Americans are at risk when bad actors in law enforcement use their guns instead of their heads.
Pretty unbelievable. And to put this all into perspective, our new Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, well, she met with Freddie Gray's family, the mayor, and other leaders in Baltimore today. So when is she going to be meeting with Moore's family? After all, Loretta Lynch is the top cop in the land, right? So shouldn't she mourn one of her own and meet with his family? Here with reaction, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke is with us. Sheriff, I don't see that meeting happening. And when you look at the numbers, and you add black-on-black crime to these statistics, it seems totally, completely blown out of proportion. So that tells me there's a political agenda in play. Do you see it that way? And if so, what is it?
I most certainly do. But first of all, God rest the soul of Officer Moore, and my prayers are with Commissioner Bratton and my colleagues at NYPD as they yet again have to lay to rest one of New York's finest. Sean, you know that the data doesn't support this false narrative that's been going on ever since the days of Ferguson, this hands up, don't shoot. You know, you look at the research, and I've looked at a lot of it since then because I wanted to make sure that there was no pattern here. There is no pattern. There is no credible evidence to support that law enforcement officers of any race use an inordinate amount of force against black males. And I continue, and I heard it yet again yesterday, the President of the United States propagating this false narrative about how law enforcement, black males and people in the black community. Now, one of the reasons that this thing thrives is because of the liberal mainstream media, all right? They like race politics. They support a lot of the leftist agenda when it comes to this stuff, identity politics. They have abandoned their responsibility under the First Amendment to be neutral and to get to the facts, and they have become the mouthpiece. They have become the propaganda wing of leftist policy and leftist ideology. That's why you don't hear about much about when a cop suffers or gives up his life at the hands of some perpetrator. You know, the headlines I was reading after the New York incident starting Saturday night, New York officer shot. But if the reverse happened, and if Officer Moore would have shot and killed the black suspect, the headline would have been, white officer shoots black. Yep. Exactly. And so, you know, you can see the pattern here. It is sickening. I mean, why isn't Loretta Lynch? I realize she's got her hands full. She just got there. And I want to give her a chance to get settled there. But I would like to see her go to New York. Eventually she will. She probably already called Commissioner Bratton. But I would like to have her go to New York and look into whether Officer Brian Moore's civil rights were violated by this suspect. Point. Did this black suspect shoot Officer Moore because he was white?
Now, we don't know what happened to we do know what happened to Officer Moore. We still don't know what happened to Freddie Gray. We don't have the details. We don't have the evidence. At best, it's very circumstantial, and to me, at this point, it's a leap. The question I have, why do we not, as a society now, provide the assumption of innocence that we give to every other criminal in society, even some of the worst criminals? There's a rush to judgment here against cops. Why?
Well, you know, again, you have the liberal mainstream media that to engage in the race hustling. I mean, they're always sticking a camera and a microphone in front of charlatan Al Sharpton when these things happen, and he starts to fuel the dissension and fuel the false narratives. You know, it's almost as if, you know, the cops are expendable and all this thing. You know, a cop loses his life, it's, oh, well, we feel bad about that. On to the next story. I'm going to give your network, Fox News, credit. I was listening yesterday, and just about every one of your news stories led with the death of the officer of NYPD. And I think that says a lot about where you guys place the importance of law enforcement in the United States. We're just not seeing that from the liberal mainstream media, Sean.
All right. Sheriff, always good to see you.